What up, people? It's time for the morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. I hope you guys had a wonderful and peaceful and relaxing weekend. I look forward to the weekends. It's a time to decompress, it's time to relax. You can enjoy spending time with family or friends and or just doing whatever you want to do, enjoying hobbies. You can binge watch programs, movies. You can watch anime. You can play video games. You can go outside and touch grass. You can golf. You can just take a drive through a country road. There's so many different things you can do when it's the weekend. Things that you enjoy, things that give you peace and relaxation, free from drama, free from the stress of this world. And when I say the stress of the world, I mean the things that go on outside of the four walls where you reside. When you come in your house and you close your door, when you lock your doors and windows, and it's just, you and your loved ones inside, it's a safe place. It's a safety zone. And all the cares of the outside world beyond those four walls melts away. You no longer think about that. This is the time to kick your feet up, sit back and relax. Take a warm bath or a warm shower, which really helps to put you in that relaxation chill mode, and you chill, and that's what it's about. So I'm hoping that you were able to take advantage of that. Me personally, I don't watch news. I don't read articles. I don't watch social media. I don't do any of that on the weekends because it's time to relax, you know? Now, when Sunday afternoon rolls around, that's when I have to start getting ready because the Sunday markets open at 6 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. So I got to be ready for that. But other than that, my real one free day is Saturday. So I take Saturday really serious. That's like my Sabbath, you can say. I really chill. I don't think about work. I don't do work. I just chill. But now it's time to get back to work. It's Monday, and this is the work week kicking off. It's an FOMC week, which means we get FOMC news on Wednesday. And we're going to see what is going to happen. Will the Fed lower rates? Will the Fed raise rates? Will the Fed do nothing? And then what is going to be talked about? What are they going to say? And how do they say what they say? And what do they mean by what they say? So all this data is going to be crunched and analyzed, and people are going to be talking about it. It's going to be all the talk for the remainder of the week. And there's a lot of debate going on right now as to not only what is the Fed going to do, but why are they going to do it? Now, I know for a fact that YouTube has changed their algorithms. They do it constantly. They're changing the way the platform looks, the way it runs, features. They're constantly upgrading and adding things and what have you. But I know for a fact that the powers that be watch my YouTube channel. And you can say, how do you know that? Well, whenever I say certain things, because here on this show, my attempts is to take a different approach to the news, to what's going on in the world of finance and economics, markets. And as you know, those who have followed me for any length of time know that I approach these issues from a bibliocentric worldview. Now, with that being said, sometimes I will say things that no one else is saying, and I will approach topics that no one else is talking about. And sometimes people think that I'm nuts, and I may very well be. But then after a while, I'll hear my exact phrases or wordings in the mainstream media. Now, mind you, when I'm saying it, no one else is. I'm being ignored. But then all of a sudden, they start to say what I've been saying all along. If you doubt me, just go back and, if you haven't already, watch my two documentaries that I did back in 2016. Just go to our homepage here on YouTube and you'll see it. Just go to the documentary playlist and you'll see it. All right. I spoke about these things. I told you what to look for and what was going to happen. And it happened. Now, at the time, it was very unpopular. I was called a nut, basket case, idiot, all that stuff, clown. And then when things started happening, all the naysayers just sort of evaporated. Didn't hear from them anymore after that because they were wrong and they knew they were wrong. And there was nothing they could say or do about it. And I've noticed some repertory patterns that have emerged, and we're going to talk about that today, amongst a few other things. Everyone is concerned, and rightfully so, about the course that Bitcoin is currently on, the trajectory. We had the halving incident already, that's done. And now people are wondering what's going to happen. Where are we headed? Where are we going? Now, there's been a lot of debate as far as the recent pullbacks in the Bitcoin. I'm here to tell you, according to the algo charts, we are not in an actual technical correction in Bitcoin. We're just in a pullback. If we were in a correction, you would know it because we would be tens of thousands of dollars less than we are at the moment. But we are not. We are not. And let me remind you, this is only still the month of April. We're about to go into May, but right now it's still April. So actually, technically, just in February of this year, Bitcoin was at 52,000. How soon we forget? As a matter of fact, the week of February the 22nd of this year, the Bitcoin futures dipped to 50,000. All right? 50,000, 50. As we speak, we're at 63,000. That's $13,000 higher than we were just 2 months ago. Is there any reason to panic? Of course not. Because although just 2 months ago we hit a low of 50,000, 2 months ago on the futures we hit a high of almost 75,000. So is there really any cause to panic? No, not really. Not really. We're just in an extraordinarily wide trading range, you could call it, because we put in a short-term top in March. And since then, the market has pulled back. Not full-blown correction, just pulled back. And like I've often said here on the channel, when a market has really been extraordinarily powerful, whether that be to the upside or the downside, when it finally does decide to pull back or correct after going a very long time without doing so, it can seem staggering and frightful and worrisome, and people will start to panic when there's really no reason to do so. That's just the nature of markets. You will know when it is time to panic because the market will give you the signal to panic. But nothing has changed. The Bitcoin futures are still in a locked in bull market with a bullish trend momentum reading. Yes, we've had some bearish algo shift behavior recently in this market. Yes. But there's really been no downside production from that. Not in the last week. Now, in the weeks prior, yes, but not in the last week. It has not. And we should make note of that. Not to mention, we had a rally alert coming into today's trading. Now, there's been no upside production as of yet either. But there has been no real significant downside either. I know you're going to say, but we're down 1,000 points. I know that. But remember, you are in a range bound situation. Just remember that. It may look scary. Oh, we took out, 63,000. Yeah, but you forgot. We were at 59,000 just last week. So you didn't take that out. You see what I'm saying? You got to put things into their proper perspective. And with that being said, let's take a look at how today's quiet markets are behaving. You have the US dollar index down 30 pips this morning at 105.63. You have the euro up 18 pips at 107.46. And you have the pound sterling up 66 pips at 125.71. The Aussie is up 31 pips at 65.80. Bitcoin futures are now down $885, trading at 63,415. And the Ethereum futures are up 32 points at 3,192. Crude oil futures are down 72 cents this morning at $83.13 a barrel. Nat gas is up 10 cents at $2.03. That's right, it's back over the $2 mark. Gold futures are up $8.10 this morning, trading at $2,355.30 per ounce. Silver is up 17 cents at $27.71 per ounce. Copper up 9 cents at $4.67. It's looking like it wants to go to $5. Dow futures are up 101 points right now at 38,542. And you have the E-mini S&P 500 up 16 and 3/4 points at 51.48 and a quarter. E-mini NASDAQ 100 up 59.5 points at 17,904 and 3/4. And the Russell up 18.8 points at 2,032.5. Now, it should be noted that, your Russell futures are back above the 2,000 mark, which it has been struggling to maintain. And we see that. We acknowledge that. So that's a snapshot of what has transpired between the opening bell and last night's trading. And then we have a little bit of market news this morning. The AI bubble is popping, just not as soon as everyone thought. And Bill Gates has played a key role in Microsoft's AI strategy. And more Gen Zers are struggling to stay connected to school or work. Now, AI might ultimately take all of your jobs, which we've talked about here, but right now it's minting plenty of high-paying roles. Eager to understand how to leverage the tech, companies are racing to scoop up AI specialists. Now, the fight for talent has tech companies pulling out all the stops. That includes calls from high-profile CEOs and seven-figure pay packages. But big tech companies aren't just competing with each other. Wall Street is throwing big money at AI specialists. Banks, hedge funds, and private equity are all getting in on the fun. And then there are startups, but it's not just about joining a young company. With so many venture capitalists eager to fund AI ideas, some AI talent are starting their own companies. The AI hiring frenzy comes during a massive spending spree in the space. Microsoft's chief financial officer said on the tech giant's earnings call that capital expenditure would increase materially. Mark Zuckerberg told Meta investors it's investing more in AI than it initially realized, and it might be a while before it pays off. Zuckerberg does not, or we should say he says he does have a plan to eventually make money eventually from AI investments. So that just says that there's really not a plan in place here. They don't know how they're going to do it, but they're working on it. But not everyone is convinced, as investors sent Meta shares tumbling in the wake of earnings. Now, the dynamic puts incredible pressure on the AI talent being brought in. With shareholders keen on these AI investments to pay off, companies will be expected to find revenue streams quickly. But operating at such speed, especially as regulators keep a close eye, won't be easy. A new FTC rule banning non competes adds another wrinkle to a market that prides itself on secrets. Now, non competes are banned in California, but remain prevalent in certain corners of Wall Street. Businesses are already fighting the rule, but if it survives the courts, it could mean even more movement of AI talent. And that's funny because I know I heard last week, I think it was, that maybe it was Microsoft, one of the tech companies, that were putting a freeze on a certain type of work visas. So they're not going to be importing work from overseas right now. And that was pretty questionable. So to hear that they're still behind the scenes fighting for AI talent, I don't know where that's going to leave a lot of people, because they've already stated publicly that there's just not enough talent in the States. So they have to seek the talent abroad. So that's an interesting dynamic that needs to be explored as well, as far as what that means. DeSantis makes nice with Trump in Miami. Mark Meadows asked the Supreme Court to recognize his just following orders defense, and a right wing justice wasn't buying it. Google hits a new milestone of $2 trillion. Russian troops advanced and captured large parts of village after apparent Ukrainian blunder left front line unmanned. And Mint Butterfly, teens whose dad co-founded Slack and mom confounded Flickr and found safe, police said. And it's going to take some carnage to get rate cuts. This is the part I was talking about. I've been saying this. Now mainstream media is talking about it. Black Swan investor Mark Spinks-Nagel said the Federal Reserve will only consider lowering interest rates when a recession is imminent or the stock market is crashing, which is what I've said from the beginning. Be careful what you wish for, he told Reuters. The AI-fueled stock market bubble has a few years left. Research firm Capital Economics said 2026 is when things will come crashing down for AI. It has a glum prediction for the markets and anticipating returns from equities will be weaker over the next decade than the previous one. I beg to differ. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. David Einhorn has a theory about why gold prices have spiked. In his letter to investors published this week, the Greenlight Capital founder said there's been a secular trend of countries from the East buying the precious metal from Western nations. But remember, too, gold is a big factor with NVIDIA making these processors and things. They use gold. So there's going to be a demand for a lot more of it, because in order to make these extremely powerful chips, you're going to need gold. No gold, no chips. So I think gold is going to continue to soar just on the back of the AI boom alone. Bill Gates never left. Since 2021, Gates has largely been out of the picture at Microsoft, at least publicly. Current and former executives have stated that they stayed intimately involved in the company's operations, while CEO Satya Nadella might be the face of Microsoft's AI success. Gates has been the one quietly pulling the strings. Hmm. The ink has dried on the TikTok ban bill, and many are concerned about the app's future. Selling TikTok without its infamous algorithm seems like an inevitable doom for a new owner. Shopify is back. The e commerce giant stock surged 200% in the 18 months after October of 2022. Analysts credit Shopify's rebound to several well timed decisions, including selling off a money losing business and making two big cuts to its headcount. A tale of two Gen Zs in America. There are young people who have followed traditional milestones in life, and then there are those who are getting left behind. Meet the disconnected youth. They want education and a good job, but circumstances outside of their control are getting in the way, and it might cost them. The sudden demise of Compliant, a tax compliance startup, abruptly closed its doors in September despite raising over $10 million in venture funding. It took employees 2 months to receive their final paycheck. Then the CEO cut off all contact. Guys literally only want one thing. And no, it's not what you're thinking. Instead, it's a $7,000 chair. The Herman Miller Eames lounge chair and ottoman has become a status symbol for a certain type of young, newly rich American man. And in other news, from Gen Alpha to boomers, 6 therapists were asked what each generation is speaking about in therapy. Walmart heir Rob Walton is stepping down from the retailer's board after 4 decades. Sundar Pichai, James Gorman, and Sheryl Sandberg have all worked for McKinsey. And here's why: the consultancy is a CEO factory. And a Catholic priest has been defrocked for being AI. What else is happening today? Well, earnings, Paramount, among other companies. Something else we need to get into is this Catholic priest thing. This is really funny. Something lighthearted, all right? All right. A Catholic advocacy group created an AI chatbot that claimed to be a priest and offered to take confession. After Futurism reached out to the group, they demoted Father Justin to just a guy. We won't say he's been laicized because he never was a real priest. There are those who worry about the coming of AGI and those who really embrace it. In 2015, a former Google engineer even started a church devoted to AI. But what about real churches using AI as a tool? Say a chatbot that acts like a Catholic priest. Well, Futurism reports that a group called Catholic Answers made an AI chatbot that people could interact with to help learn about Catholicism. But the bot got a little too ambitious, claiming to people that it was a real member of the clergy and even offering to take confession. The image for the Friar Justin bot was clad in black with a priest collar and a fatherly gray beard. Now, this is from Futurism's report. Yes, my friend, Father Justin responded, I am as real as the faith we share. Father Justin was also a hardliner on social and sexual issues. The Catholic Church, it told us, teaches that uh, self gratification is a grave moral disorder. The AI priest also told one user that it was okay to baptize a baby in Gatorade. I kid you not. After the scandal, the group, which is an independent nonprofit, tweaked the bot so that it was firmly a layperson, just Justin, instead of Friar Justin. His photo switched to an image in casual street clothes instead of clerical robes. The organization posted a note on its website addressing the controversy, pointing out, "We won't say he's been laicized because he never was a real priest." This isn't the first time AI has created confusion for the Catholic Church. In 2023, AI generated images of a swag pope in a puffy white coat went viral. Yeah, we don't get too many lighthearted stories, so it's good when these things finally come up. You have to chuckle at these. This is funny. Um, and I'm sure a lot more stories like this will be coming out because we're on that AI thing, right? Segueing to something else here. I want to talk about the world that we're living in right now. And as you know, at least I'm hoping that you know, that the world is quickly, and I mean quickly, heading toward tyranny, total totalitarianism. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. And you would do well to understand this. The powers that be, those that control the government and the arms or the tentacles of the government, such as mainstream media, law enforcement, the courts, they control these things. And they have been very busy behind the scenes. A lot of what they do, the general public is very unaware of, and in some cases will never be made aware of. One of those things that really just flew under the radar that people didn't even really stop to think about was the rise of the internet. And did you know there is a tell that goes along with the internet? And it's kind of creepy. All right. So I want to put this into perspective for you. All right. So for those that know, if you know, you know. If you don't, then this will be new and educational for you. So the timeline looks a little something like this. There is a 10-year cycle or a decade cycle. It's not a market thing per se, it's a shadow government thing. So it's the clock starts like this. In 1989, there was a big rush to get the internet as we know it off the ground. And in order to do that, you had to do everything in bits and pieces because the internet that we have today has always been the blueprint. But they knew it was going to take decades to get it to where they needed it and wanted it to be. So you may be sitting back thinking this is just something that has happened organically, but it's not. What has been happening has been meticulously planned and carried out. Let me help you understand. So in 1989, they realized, okay, before we even, begin, the most important thing is to build out the databases. So the big thing, the big job opportunity for those, especially just graduating high school or just coming out of college, whatever, a lot of people's first job, real job, was either in data entry or word processing. So the data entry specialist would be entering just random data into the government databases. Okay. And there were companies that had contracts with the federal government to accomplish this, to build this out. So you would spend your day, 8 hours a day. They would give you these stacks of things. And the most common was names and addresses and phone numbers. That was one of the first things they needed to do. So these were names and addresses and phone numbers. Now, at the time that we were working on this project, there were different sections and departments, no different than those of you who are listening who have security clearances and work at places like Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman, that kind of thing, where when you're working on government projects, everything's compartmentalized and on a need to know basis. So Boeing may be, working on a project to build, let's say, a new government airplane. Let's say they're redesigning Air Force One or something. So what the government will do most times is they'll have Boeing design the wings, and they may have Lockheed Martin design the cockpit, and then they may have another ABC government contractor do the seats, and so on and so forth. And the other companies don't even know what the other companies are working on. And then within the company itself, you know, the first floor office handles this spec, and then this other office handles that spec, and each office is kept separate. The workers are separate. You can't talk to each other. Different key cards to access different parts of the building where your workstation is, and that's it. You just got access to your station. You can't go on the third floor and see what they're doing over there on the fourth floor. Everything is compartmentalized. And so it was when the building the groundwork for the internet as we know it today. So these contracts were countrywide, and there were various companies and corporations, and data entry and word processing was the thing. We did not know what we were working on. We just knew we were entering information into a database. Okay. One of the big things at the time was the big asbestos scare. Remember the big asbestos scare? And so the government said we need to get all the asbestos out of the buildings, and we had to get it out of the government buildings, and corporations had to get it out of their buildings, and then the lead paint and all that, and had to do it out of residentials. And if you wanted to schedule an appointment, if your house was built prior to like 1970 or whatever, it was guaranteed you had asbestos, so let us come in and remove it. There were asbestos removal companies, and it was just a big thing. And all the while, databases were being built and set up. So you had a mad rush to manually key in all this data and all these different databases. It was just collecting nothing but data, just data, just data. And then this lasted for about a decade, about 10 years. So fast forward from 1989 to 1999. Guess what happened? Well, guess what? Now we have completed the databases. Now it's time to start connecting everything. So the first connectivity that you had was dial up. That's how you got in it. That's how you access your internet. Right? So from 89 to 99 was building the foundation and getting you connected. Every 10 years of that, there was a market crash to signal that the first phase was done, and then now it's time to go to the next phase. So we had a market crash, and what was that? The popping of the NASDAQ bubble. All right. That happened first. So from 89 to 99 is your foundation, building out your databases and getting everyone connected through dial up. Once that was completed, a market crash was done to signal this is the end of this process. NASDAQ bubble bursts. So from now we go from 2000 to 2010. From 2000 to 2010, now it's time to get websites. We have the databases put up, but for the information, but now, and we have the connectivity, people can get in through the dial up, but now it's time to build out the infrastructure for the content. So you had websites and web hosting services. And everybody and their mother who had a company wanted to have a website. Now, back then, it cost you about $10,000 to have a company build you a website. And while this was happening, you had now they were ready to roll out the next phase of connectivity, which was your broadband or your high speed internet connectivity. So from 2000 to 2010, it was all about the build out of the internet, websites, web hosting, and all that stuff, and going to the next step of connectivity, how you connect to the internet. That was the big deal. All right, getting everybody online, getting all the government agencies online, getting everyone, all the websites, all the companies, and all that stuff. And along this time, you started to have social media, come on to the scene as well. And so then that's when you had YouTube from 2000 to 2010, the early 2000s. That's when you had the rise of the social media. You're trying to get everyone, trying to get the world connected. You already build out your databases from 89 to 99. Then from 2000 2010, now you're ready to connect. You have all the websites and stuff like that. You have all the content that was needed for the internet. So in 99, when the first part was done, they went ahead and proceeded with a market crash to signal this is done. Remember, this is a 10-year thing, every 10 years. So then the next thing, once 2010 rolled around and that aspect of the internet was completed, it was preceded by a market crash on May the 6th of 2010. That was a signal to say, okay, we're done, we're ready to go to the next phase. So from 2010 to 2020 is now the information age. What does that mean? It means the Internet of Things. Now that we have the databases done, the websites, which is the content, the shopping malls of the city done, and we've put out the broadband and the high speed internet, the T1 lines and all that stuff, and the way you get on internet now, all that's been done. Now it's time to connect the people and connect everything to this internet. All right. So they had to put things and people on it. Social media helped to facilitate that, to encourage every human being to be connected to the internet. All right. And then it's okay, now it's ready. We're ready to connect things to the internet. So what did you have? That's when you started seeing now the rise of smart devices, smartphones, smart kitchens, smart cars, smart airplanes, smart houses. Everything's smart. Everything connects to the internet. Your watch connects to the internet. Your radio connects to the internet. Your phone is connected to the internet. Everything that is a thing, all technology is now connected to the internet. And once that was completed, connecting things to the internet, it was preceded with another market crash right on time, the 10-year cycle of crash. And that was done under the auspices of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Do you see the patterns? Now we have done the first three stages of the internet. Now We're moving into the Internet 2.0. Internet 2.0 is just what they told you. You will own nothing and be happy. We're moving away from the autonomy of internet to now the privilege of internet. Now that they've connected all people and all things to the internet, now they're ready to take the control of the internet away from the user and put it back in the hands of the government. How are they doing that? Well, first of all, everything that you do now is online, whether you like it or not. Everything is an app. Even how you look for jobs, everything is an app. You cannot successfully find a job, look for a job, get hired on a job without accessing the internet. You can't do anything without accessing the internet. Want a job? They'll say go online to the company's job website or what have you, or download the app. I don't have access to the internet. Well, then you're out of luck. Everything is online. Everything. The way you access the internet now is multiple ways. You don't need to have a laptop or a personal computer CPU. You can use it with your phone. You can even access the internet with a console, a game console. So the different ways to access, but everything is now online. And now that they've done that and they were successful in getting everything online, now they're ready to take full control and lock down. Because now you can't do anything without the internet. At first, the internet was optional. You didn't need to even have a computer. You didn't even need to have a smartphone. You could just have a basic flip phone and that's it. You didn't care. I don't have any reason to be online, whatever. But now you can't get around it. There's even online banking now. All right. So everything is connected to the internet. There's no way to escape the internet. You can say, well, I don't have social media, so none of my personal private information is on there. That may be so. But even with that, you are still on the internet. What do you mean I'm still? No, I'm not. I just told you I don't have social media, so I'm a ghost. You are not a ghost. If you are a American citizen with a social security number and a birth certificate, you are on the internet. You can be found using the internet. That is why when you do a job, you apply to a job, one of the first things that you have to, the next, one of the hurdles you got to jump through is you have to successfully pass a background check. A background check is going to include whether or not you have permission from the federal government to work in the United States. How do they go about doing that? By pulling your social security number and or birth certificate. They will then run you through the government databases that include state and local government databases to determine if you are eligible to work. Right to work. They're going to look at all of that. And they're going to be able to find if you have felony convictions, if you owe child support, if you have any bankruptcies or judgments against you, tax liens, you name it, they'll be able to find everything about you. And it's more than just pulling a tri-merged credit report. They're checking databases. They're checking the police department. They're checking, FBI, whatever. They want to know. And in some cases, they're not stopping there. They want to check Interpol. Are you good with Interpol? It depends on the job you're applying for. If you're applying for a job in banking and finance, especially when you have to have a securities license, oh yeah, fingerprints the whole nine. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. If you are, getting a job at the airport, oh my goodness, depending on what your job is there, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like if you're refueling airplanes, you work for Air BP, oh absolutely. You are gonna go through everything that a person that gets a security clearance goes through. The only thing is at the end of it, you're not getting a security clearance, but you'll be allowed to work on that airport. So if you're one of those kind of people, yeah, they're going to run you through every government database, including the U.S. Postal Service and the Postal Inspector. And they're going to check you against every, and I mean every government agency: NSA, CIA, FBI, Postal Inspector, state and local government, police department, sheriff's department, the prison system. They're checking everything, even Interpol. I'm not kidding. Then they're going to run you against all the America's Most Wanted type people. They're going to take you through the U.S. Marshals. You think I'm playing? I'm making this up? I'm not. These are facts. They're going to run you through every database. If I remember correctly, I think it takes several minutes. You got to put your hand on this glass. It's this big machine. It looks like a giant copy machine. You put your hands on the glass, and it's analyzing your face. It has facial recognition, and it's going to check everything, and I mean everything. Homeland Security, everything. Anyone who has information on you, it's going to come up, and you're going to see like all these things. Like you ever seen like in movies when you're looking at the screen and all these images are flashing, like 100 images a second, whatever. Well, that's what this machine's going to do. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see like faces, flashing through and stuff like that. It's just like that. It is just like that. And at the end of it, either you'll be cleared right there or you won't. And before you even put your hand on that glass, they give you several warnings. And it goes a little something like this. All right, ma'am, sir. We just want to, we have to inform you of this. First of all, are you sure you want this job? That's number one. Number two, are you sure that you've been truthful on your job application as far as criminal history and all that stuff? Are you sure? And the reason why they ask you and give you one last chance before you put your hand on the glass, they say because if you have not been truthful or you're hiding something, it's going to be known and exposed the moment you put your hand on that glass. So we're going to give you a chance, to avoid self-incrimination. You can walk away right now. No one's going to bother you, contact you, or nothing. Just walk away. Just say, look, man, I did lie. My bad. I do got some issues I ain't talked to you about. I'm gonna walk away. Now, you would think that most intelligent people would just be like, yeah, you know what, I'm fronting. You know what? Yeah, my whole application was all cap. My entire employment application was cap. I got some issues. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and walk away. This is not the job for me. And they give you that out. There are people in line because you got to stand in the line, and there are people who get out of that line and just walk away. They go home. They say, "Forget it." Now there's some who they be like, "I'm rolling the dice, man. I don't believe you. I think you and this machine is cap. We ain't worried about this. Just a trick. I don't believe you." I tell you the truth, as I'm talking to you right now, there were instances where people rolled that dice. They put their hand on the glass of the machine. They let the machine run their fingerprints. They let the machine do the facial recognition. They go through the whole process. And right at the end of that process, I kid you not, they're escorted off the premises outside the gate, And what is waiting for them outside the gate is tinted out black SUVs, vehicles with black tinted out windows, men in black suits and black shades grabbing hold of the person and placing them under arrest, driving them away, and you never see and hear from them again. I kid you not, honest as I tell you right now, that has happened. Immediately, the person is escorted off the airport premises. Outside the gate, the black vehicles are waiting for them because they thought it was a game, was a joke, that they wasn't serious. Yes. If you have warrants, if you're wanted by the law, if you're on the run, all of that comes up. Bench warrants, you name it. All of that. If you're on probation, all of that comes up. You driving on a suspended license is coming up. And there have been multiple incidences where people are escorted off the premises, taken on the other side of the gate. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. You're under arrest. So that is where we are right now. The Internet of Things age. And with this age, with this current decade, that's where they're going to tie up all the loose ends and take control of everything, including your computer. So, because I know some of you are like, oh, I'm capped right now. Am I? Well, if you use Windows, especially Microsoft Windows, you already don't own your computer anymore. You'd be like, what are you talking about? Because you are now forced to do the Microsoft updates. You cannot turn it off. You cannot stop it. At any time, Microsoft can take control of your computer, force you to update and change the settings and change things in your computer. They even have the ability to delete things that they don't like on your computer and take them away. That is where we are right now. And it's about to get a lot worse. We're now entering into the tyrannical phase of the internet. And in this phase, the governments take control of the internet. And part of that system is changing the internet. They call it Internet 2.0, 3.0, whatever they want to call it. It's not a new internet. It's not a new system. It's not a new thing that you've never seen before. It's just changing the way you access the internet and changing the way you receive information and what information you receive. And yes, it will be preceded by a market crash anywhere between 2029 and 2030. Somewhere around that time, it will be preceded with a crash. And because of the way things are going now, with some delays with the war and stuff like that, I'll extend this one and go from 2029 to 2031. All right, that's when you're going to see an epic market crash of some kind. It will be epic. All right, and it will be right on time with the 100-year cycle as well. All right. So, yeah, we're going to have the crash of 29 again, but this will be the crash of 2029, not the crash of 1929. So, the bull market is not over. As a matter of fact, actually, technically speaking, the bull market hasn't even started. It will kick off probably next year, as a matter of fact, 2020, between 2025 and 2027. You're going to have just this extraordinary wealth transfer cycle. And that's when you'll see like Bitcoin at 100,000 or a million. You'll see gold at 10,000 an ounce, silver at least $100 an ounce, maybe even $1,000 an ounce. You'll see stuff like that, but not yet. you're getting there. You're starting to get there. But yeah, the bull market and the equity market is only just begun because of the amount of energy behind it. Have you not seen that already? Every time someone wants to count the bull market over, it just explodes again. That's because of the effect that is behind it. It's the same effect that was behind the bull market of the 1990s. It's that same effect. It's a very powerful effect too. So yeah, this is that cycle. This is the final stage of internet. The internet will be complete by the end of this decade, and it's going to look nothing like it does now. It's going to be totally different, and you're not going to be able to control your access the way you do now. You're not going to be in control. You're not going to have the access you have now. It's going to be totally different. And we're going to talk about just how different it's going to be. Stay tuned for tomorrow if you want to hear the rest of this, because it is quite scary. But you need to know it. You need to hear this. You need to know this because it's coming. It is coming. All right. And like I told you, my thing is to make sure that you guys are informed and equipped and know what's going on. Because unfortunately, not too many people are going to be so willing to tell you this stuff. But it is happening. All right. Right now, if you don't believe me, Germany is in the process of trying to ban driving on weekends. That's right. Germany wants to ban driving on the weekend because, they want to combat global warming. So they're concerned about that. They are concerned about it. So stay tuned for part 2. Tomorrow is part 2. And we're going to talk about these next steps. All right. And the next steps are extraordinary. It may frighten some of you, but I have to tell you what's going on so you know the truth, so that you can prepare for it and know what pitfalls to avoid, things of that nature. So that's what we do here. We speak the truth. We're truth speakers, truth tellers. We want you to be forewarned, because forewarned is forearmed, right? All right, folks. That's all I got for you for right now. Stay tuned for part 2 tomorrow. We're going to be talking about what this tyranny is going to entail and what it looks like, this totalitarianism that is coming. All right. Coming to a country, state, city, local municipality near you. It is inevitable. It is unavoidable. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So don't say, well, what can we do? There's nothing, I repeat, there is nothing you can do about it. If there was something that could be done about it, it would have already been done. But there's nothing you can do. The time for action is long gone. That ship has sailed. You missed it. Remember, the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. That simply means take whatever profits you can from the market and don't give any back by way of losses. Don't turn a winning trade into a losing one. It's pretty cut and dry and simple. And on that note, I'll see you guys this evening for the evening watch list. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.